The digital world moves fast, but real growth comes from real conversations. This is e-Coffee with Experts, where marketers and founders share what's actually working in SEO, AI, and digital growth. Grab your coffee and fuel your mind as we chat with top minds about their wins, struggles, and lessons you won't find in a blog post. Brought to you by Digital Web Solutions, we bring real talk to help you grow your business, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to your show E-Coffee with Experts. This is your host Ranmay here. And today we have Jescia Smith, who is a seasoned operations and marketing manager who has worked across agencies, brands, and now has turned into an author. So welcome, Jescia, to our show.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Lovely. Jescia, before we move any forward, let's get to know more about your journey. You have worked in an agency, you have worked on other platforms, and now you have kind of left it all and started your journey as an author. So talk us more through it. How did you navigate through all the positions, challenges in your life thus far? And we'll take it off from there.
I'll take it back. My very first role that got me to digital marketing was actually working for a local potato museum. I did all of their newsletters and managed their online website, and that opened the door for digital marketing. The first company I worked for, I was their first hire, and they picked me up, and I learned everything from the ground up. We had no operations, no procedures. It was just hit the ground running and figure everything out all at once. And as we grew, I really learned that I loved leading team members and kind of falling into that field of operations, helping people grow. And over my 10-year journey, I wanted to kind of share the experience and the knowledge that I'd gained as an introvert. And that's what led to me becoming an author, is I wanted to really teach people that aren't comfortable being out there in public, that they could still lead quietly behind the scenes. And that's how I ended up where I'm at now.
Lovely. First hire. Interesting. I mean, how was it like, getting into something wherein you don't have much idea about, right? And then setting it all up. What were the early day challenges?
Sure. Well, it was a little nerve-wracking. The owner of the marketing agency knew me from the Potato Museum. He saw the newsletters I did, so he reached out to me. So it wasn't something I was looking into. He's like, hey, you do this. I want to hire you. So I started, and the very first thing he said is, I don't want any rules or procedures. We're just going to be creative and open and do it. I'm like, ooh, this sounds like a disaster. So for the first little bit, we did everything it was just task-based, a checklist, let's go do this. And then as we started to grow, we didn't have a system to scale. So then we learned, okay, you need processes and procedures to be able to scale, especially as you grow with more clients and more team members. And so it was an interesting journey. We went from just, let's just do this and get it done to, okay, now we actually need to grow and scale and be consistent and be proactive versus reactive. So coming in with an analytical mindset kind of really helped put that into place. It took us a few years before we got ahead of it, before we were like, okay, what got us here isn't going to get us there. So now we need to change our mindset and pivot and continue growing.
Lovely. And now turning into an author, right? Publishing The Quiet Leader is huge. How has writing a book really influenced or elevated your leadership voice in business? And what triggered the kind of decision making to write a book?
Before I managed the book, I was often encouraged to speak up and lead the room. And when I tried, I really did. I noticed that my team kind of stepped back. Like, we don't want to disagree with her. We don't want to say the wrong thing. I saw them kind of shrinking on their confidence, and they stopped engaging. So I decided to step back and be honest with myself and my team. And I stopped trying to be the loudest in the room. It went against my personality. It kind of felt robotic. I didn't have that connection with the team. And I started encouraging them to create their own space. I let go of the need to create the narrative and focus on empowering them so they can share their perspectives. And it kind of changed the culture dynamic of our team. We got to really know each other, where their creativity lied. They were coming to me with more ideas. So it's less of she's not going to tell me no, she's actually going to listen to what I said. And then watching them grow in that space really triggered the idea of, if I can do this with this small team, what can I do with other people that are in a similar situation that went through what I went through? It's really a change in mindset, trying to be someone different when you're not. And it's okay to step into that introverted leadership. So the hardest process for me was putting that into words, writing it all down to where it actually made sense. So I had to learn a lot of discipline and to put my message out there without it sounding, I don't know, it was a little surreal putting it out there. I'm not really quite sure how to explain it, but it definitely taught me how to have some patience with myself on how to explain things.
How long did it take?
There, I started writing this book about 5 years ago when I started in the leadership space and I changed that perspective. And then when I left the agency, that's when like, you know what, I think it's time to actually try to get through this and publish it. So I took all that knowledge over the past 5 years and I rewrote that book maybe 7 or 8 times before I was comfortable enough with it to be published. And I'm still like I could do better. I could rewrite this. So I think there's still more knowledge that I can obtain and share.
Lovely, lovely. Now, with 20 plus years of customer service, customer relationship management experience, you'd have spoken to a lot of businesses, a lot of peers, colleagues. What is that one mistake, which is kind of common in the customer relationship management space?
The biggest mistake there is treating all your clients the same. And the example I have is using CRMs. So it starts with bridging the gap with automation so it doesn't feel automatic and it's more personalized. The clients that I worked with, they were business owners. They wore several hats. They were answering emergency calls. They were out on the field. So when we started doing email campaigns, we would start with, oh, we're going to push an email out every day, 9 a.m. Well, we quickly discovered that this didn't work for the clients that we were working with because they had such chaotic schedules. They were working 24/7. They didn't check their emails until late at night. So getting to learn their personalities in that niche, we were able to adjust our management of our system to kind of connect with them as a partner instead of just being a disruptive message that's just kind of checking in when they're not available for that check-in.
Right. And talking about, since today is the world of AI, automations and stuff, how do you bridge the gap between automation and human empathy and customer relationship management today?
It's really researching your clients and getting to know that demographic. What are their pain points? How can you solve their problems? And sometimes it's not even how can you solve their problems? How can you partner with them to grow so that they know how to solve their problem? So putting in a personal message, there's a human touch. AI can do a lot, but it doesn't really have that emotional feel or insight behind the person. Like with our clients being a business owner, they were in the field, emergency restoration. So they would be out in the field. So knowing that and being able to tailor a message, knowing the industry, adding that human touch, and then using automation to kind of push that message helps. But if I were just to go in and throw in, hey, I'm talking to this business manager, I need a message that asks them if they want to upsell their service, AI is not going to understand the nuances unless I have that personal touch and understand that client to tell it to adjust that message.
Right. And, you're someone who has grown in your organization. You have gone from being the first hire to now, to eventually heading the ops, right? So you have literally kind of risen through the ladder. So for our listeners today, especially for the young ones, who are starting out in their career, what advice? Because see, generally the perception is you switch from one company to another and you kind of keep on growing, right? For you, it has been clearly, kind of being stable in one setup and then growing through the ladder, through different positions. So what is that advice you'd want to give to our young listeners today in terms of sticking around and, kind of growing in the same company?
All right. For me, it was making sure that the company was a match for my values and a good culture fit. If I didn't get along with my team and they didn't have the same values and have the same goals as I did, I wouldn't have been able to stay there to grow in this space. And having clarity with it. If you're with a company that doesn't share the same views as you might not grow that corporate ladder because you're going to have some disconnect with where you want to go and where they want you to go. So finding a company that values your personal growth and professional growth is great, but also being willing to help that company grow and to see the value in what they're doing for their clients and helping those clients grow, having some personal investment. It's a very fine line of protecting your space and also providing support and helping the company grow as a whole. It's kind of a give and take on both sides. It can't just be one or the other because either way, if you don't have that connection, there's going to be some burnout. And it's going to be you're going to end up jumping from company to company.
Absolutely. And in a professional environment, you find all kind of individuals, right? If you're outspoken, extrovert, and all kind of people, right? So what is a common misconception that people have around introvert people in the professional world, especially executive C-level positions? What do you think they're kind of misinterpreted at times, the introvert ones?
The biggest misconception I've run into, and kind of in a meeting setting, is you're not engaged because you're too quiet. Like, no, it's I'm thinking through all of this, I'm writing down my ideas, but I'm not going to just step up and speak out in the middle of a conversation. It's more of a methodical thought. So sometimes you feel like introverted employees are disengaged, but it's really knowing the personality and knowing when to speak up and getting familiar with the team. Like, okay, I know this person's introverted. I know they're not going to be the first one to raise their hand, but I know that they're going to have some valuable information. I'm going to make sure that I give them some time at the end of the meeting or some time for someone to speak up so that they feel comfortable and can tell me what they're thinking. But it's the quietest person in the room doesn't mean that they're disengaged. It means that they could be thinking through everything and they may have some valuable ideas. So it's good to listen to the entire team.
Lovely, lovely. Great, Jessica. This has been a great conversation. But before we let you go, I would like to play a quick rapid fire with you. I hope you're game for it.
I'm game.
All right. Your last Google search.
My last Google search was looking up how to make flatbread.
Okay. Your last vacation.
I went to Switzerland in January.
Your favorite sport.
Oh, soccer, but I'm terrible at it.
Okay. In that case, favorite team in soccer.
Favorite team? Oh, my favorite team is my nephew's soccer team. I'm not into professional soccer, but I love watching the kids play.
Nice. Moving on. Where do we find you on Friday evenings, Jessica? After work or after you're done with your writing for the day?
I am usually painting.
Oh, another one. Nice. Okay. Your celebrity crush.
Nathan Fillion.
Favorite pastime.
Favorite pastime is listening to music.
Okay, we'll not grill you any further. You have been a sport, Jessica. Thank you so much once again for taking out time to do this with us. Really appreciate it. And for our audiences, if they want to reach out to you, how would they do that?
They can connect with me on LinkedIn. I also have an Instagram and a TikTok if they want to jump in there. It's all under Jescia Smith.
All right, Jessica. This has been a great conversation. Thank you so much. Yeah, cheers.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.